Well, this is the updated version of the Super Sim. So little Pandora this time is going to be a Sulani mana, greater wolfblood, high Fae Lineage, ancient bloodline, grim descendant, and Father Winter's baby. She's also conceived in a lighthouse, but if you're wondering where the half alien went, unfortunately she cannot be a half alien because I decided that I want her to become each occult individually and not be born as one. So this sim is completely cured of all occult status and needs to become a fairy one day to complete the fairy aspirations. So she is not a half alien because EA has decided that half aliens are not allowed to become fairies. Okay, we're going to go over the steps to create the Super Sim. So starting from CAS and a new game file, we are going to use only the Sims that we create or the Sims that exist in the world so that you don't have to depend on downloading Sims from the gallery. So the first Sim we're going to make is going to be a child of the islands. And her other traits really don't matter, but she also does need to be a werewolf. And we're going to call her Island Child Werewolf. And then just pick some random traits, preferably ones that are not too annoying. Like you don't want overachiever because you're not building skills and you don't want the relationships to be hard to build. Cheerful is always a good choice because you can use it to shorten the duration of bad moods. And then cringe is good because they're immune to emotional deaths from playfulness. Okay, and then you need to add another occult sim and you need another werewolf. And the reason for this is that we need 2 separate lines. And it doesn't matter if these werewolves are male, female, I'll just accept the default ones. And we'll call this other werewolf. And I would start on an empty lot because that's just easier. You don't waste money that way. Okay, and as far as the traits for your lot, you definitely want on ley line so that you get more chances to make the correct baby. And then the other ones are kind of up to you. I mean, maybe island spirits so that you could make your Sims have a need frozen, but it's not really important. Another thing you can do is make this a tiny home, and then you need to add some tiles. And we are going to do the most basic setup that we can possibly do. Okay, so here's some basic stuff. We do need 3 bassinets, just in case we have triplets. And then we need a kitchen in order to cook cakes and age them up. We have a few bedroom areas with the bunks. And then we just need a shower, because I have put a outhouse over here and I actually could put a toilet in here, I guess. We might need that for checking for pregnancy, but that doesn't currently work in the game. So yeah, this is the basic setup. And what we also need is we need a fairy added to our household. So we will do that first. Now, if you look up your household in the Manage Household screen, you'll see the werewolf family and just transfer Sims between households. And then go to other households and look for Innis Green. And the one that I have found that is the most convenient is the Summer Dream household. We will just borrow Titania. I know that the townies really should be left alone, so you can also steal their money if you need some more money. But basically, all of these townies are going to be long gone by the time the Super Sim becomes an adult. So I don't really mind borrowing her, and I will put her back when I'm done. Okay, and the reason why you need her in your household, or some fairy in your household, is that you need to be able to turn a Sim into a fairy using the fairy ability. And basically, she is the one that is furthest along that I have found in the game. If you look at her fairy abilities, she is already brilliant, and she just needs one more level to get to radiant in order to get this transform into fairy ability. And the best part about these fairy abilities is that you don't have to buy all of these things that are leading up to that one. In the same category, you can buy just the transform into fairy, even though she's invested in all these other skills. Okay, as soon as you load your family into the game, the next thing that I suggest doing is making a holiday on Monday. And we're going to call this Father Winter. And the only tradition you need is the Father Winter tradition. All of the other ones are irrelevant. That's the one that matters. And the reason why I set that up now is because you cannot create a holiday on the current day, and we're going to add Father Winter to our household on that day. One thing I forgot to add is that you do need the gramophone. So that's for a later step, but I like adding it now so that I don't forget. And then I just do a little bit of shifting people's luck towards good luck and also absorbing their emotions in order to get her experience up to the next level. Okay, and we'll start with the island child. We're going to summon the elements. Okay, so we summon the island elementals, and we need one of these to join our household as well. Okay, so we'll start with the friendly introduction, and we just need to get one of them to like us. We can use the social bunny for hack as long as we have a good introduction, because sometimes you get a bad one. Okay, so that one was pretty good. So open social bunny and add the contact list and then just spam them with friendly. And then being in a tiny home just makes it so you don't have to click on that as much. And then you can ask her to move in. And it doesn't matter that she's an elder because she can still have science babies. And that should make her become alive. Otherwise, you have to somehow resurrect her if she doesn't get resurrected when she moves in. Now, the only thing is you do have a limited time left with the island elemental, but we're just going to use her once and have a science baby. Okay, what you're looking for is a human sim, which will be shown by a regular happy face in the needs category that has Sulani mana and dormant wolf. Okay, and my plans for this one is Sulani caster dormant wolf. So that means this child has Sulani mana, will be a spellcaster, but a dormant wolf. Okay, at this point, we don't need the island elemental anymore, but we'll just leave her here for a moment while we're trying to make a cake in order to age up this guy. Or a girl, actually. She's a girl. Because I don't like having infants and toddlers and children around for this because I'm busy doing other things. So we will be aging them up as quickly as possible. Okay, so this is the state of our household so far. We have Sulani caster dormant wolf, who is now a young adult with some odd choices in makeup. And then we don't need the island child werewolf or the Sulani elemental. So we can move those two out. Now it's other werewolf's turn. So we just need to have a science baby as a single parent. Okay, Titania is now a radiant fairy. So you definitely want to get the transform into fairy option. So now that I've done that with her, I'm going to stop playing around. And look at that. We have a human sim who is a dormant wolf. That is what you want. So this is going to be the fairy werewolf. Okay, so we can transfer out other werewolf and the child that was not a dormant wolf. So we are keeping the one that was a dormant wolf and a human sim, and we're going to turn her into a fairy. So her name is Fairy Dormant Wolf. Okay, and so we have Fairy Dormant Wolf as a young adult, and then we just need to take Titania and turn him into a fairy. Hopefully she has enough emotional force. Okay, I think she does. It won't let you do it if you don't have enough. Okay, Fairy Dormant Wolf, time to be a fairy. Okay, we are going to go to this empty lot in Glimmerbrook with the sim that needs to become a spellcaster. This is just a reminder that her name is Sulani caster Dormant Wolf. And we scroll over here to the portal and we're going to travel to the magic realm. Now we need to locate one of the sages and get the quest in order to become a spellcaster. Hey Morgan, what's up? I want to be a spellcaster. We ask him how to use magic and we say, I was born ready. And unfortunately, you have to do the moat quest with a sim that does not have any bloodline trait. All right, let's run around and collect the moats. Okay, then we go to Morgan again and turn in the moats, and they make us a spellcaster. Next, open the social bunny for Sulani caster Dormant Wolf and add Fairy Dormant Wolf to the contact list. Now spam Fairy Dormant Wolf with friendly messages until you're best buddies, and then ask him to have a science baby. Okay, I have reset so many times and I just cannot get a single Dormant Wolf for whatever reason. I tried like 35 times. So I'm pretty sure that you probably can't get a Dormant Wolf, or if you can, it's extremely rare. So Aubrey here is a greater wolfblood. She has weak bloodline and Sulani mana, and she's also a fairy because of her plum bob. But then if you look in her inventory, she has a glimmerstone. So I think that she is all three occults. Now, these occults will bug your game. So what you have to do is make sure you hide their fairy form, because the only reason why you need a dormant wolf in my original way of doing this is that the dormant wolf can still become a spellcaster. But since this sim is a spellcaster through birth and has all three of the occults, it doesn't matter that they can't become a spellcaster, so I don't need to keep Dormant Wolf. Okay, and Clement Frost has 500,000 simoleons, so basically you don't have to worry about money from this point on. Okay, it's at this point that the game becomes buggy, because as you can see, she has a vampire energy thing over here. I don't know why, but anyway, in the panel it says that she is a fairy now, she is a werewolf now, and she is a spellcaster now. So I don't see anything about vampire, but we do need to make sure that she conceals her fairy form, because this will cause the game to crash if you don't do that. Oh, and she does have a strange thirst for manifesting vampire powers. Why is she also a vampire? Okay, well, her fairy form is hidden. She is now Fae Weak Cast School Greater Wolf. So basically she's a fairy, she's a weak spellcaster, weak bloodline, and she has Sulani mana and greater wolf blood. Okay, we have moved out Aubrey's parents and siblings, and now we just have Titania, Clement Frost, and Aubrey. And we need to summon the Grim Reaper. And she needs to have a baby with Grim, and I can't change her name because loading her in Kaz and then saving it is bugging everything. So I'm going to hope that I don't have to load this family in Kaz anymore, and we'll just summon Grim and try to get this on the way. So she's going to introduce herself to the Grim Reaper, and after you become friends with the Grim Reaper, and basically after you add him to Social Bunny, then basically just save the game and then ask him to have a science baby. Okay, I have Ian here who might be workable, but I'm not sure. So Ian is definitely a caster, definitely a fairy, but I don't know if he is a werewolf. Okay, let's check out Ian's occults. Okay, so Ian is a fairy, a werewolf, and a spellcaster. That means that he's going to be all screwed up too. So we need to hide his fairy form. And then he somehow did not get the vampire one, which is good. So he's Grimborn, strong bloodline, Sulani mana, fairy spellcaster, werewolf. Okay, we're going to create a new household and put Aubrey in there because Aubrey is dangerous. She can crash the game, but if you don't load the household she's in, it's fine. And I just want to try to keep her around because I want the full family tree. Just for 1 second so that I can take a picture of it, basically. Now, the only problem is that Ian needs to be female, or actually just be able to become pregnant. So hopefully this doesn't screw up when I'm editing him and Kaz. I was unfortunate enough to get a male because I wasn't eating strawberries. Okay, hopefully he never shows his fairy form. All right, let's take Clement Frost to get him to be a werewolf. All right, fighting Greg will always get you turned into a werewolf. Well, it'll get you werebees, and if you're not an occult, you can turn into a werewolf. But if you have the bite, you can try and turn yourself into a second occult. Okay, he has werebees. Okay, I can't use Titania to get Clement to be a fairy. I have to get a fairy seedling. Maybe get rid of these so he's not tempted to show his fairy form. That might be a good idea. Okay, if you ask a fairy about how to become a fairy, then I think it gives you the option on the computer to buy the seedling. I don't know how to get it for free, but we're not worried about free here. Okay, purchase fairy seedling is available now. And then we can plant the seedling and then ask Mother Nature for her charm. And then he just immediately drinks it. Okay, we did use Social Bunny to get Clement and Ian friendly with each other and also romantic. So they've had their first kiss. Now we need to take Clement to the fairy springs. And this is where it crashed on me before, so hopefully it doesn't crash this time. Okay, the way I'm attempting to control this is I'm bringing Ian with me everywhere. So hopefully I can avoid him turning into a fairy and basically trying to keep him doing exercises so that he does not turn into a fairy. Okay, this is Clement's transformation into a fairy who has werebees and will eventually become a werewolf. Okay, we need to immediately conceal his fairy form. Now, the next step is for these two to have a baby at the lighthouse, but we don't need Titania anymore, so I will send her back to her household. Okay, so take everyone to the Dead Grass Discoveries Museum in Brindleton Bay, and then edit this lot to have the onlay line lot trait. And then what might be a good idea also, which I did not think of this the first time, but maybe add a bathroom that's closer. Okay, that will keep me from having to go upstairs to do the pregnancy check. Actually, this might be a problem because there's a current bug in the game where you can't check. So we might have to just do this several times. Okay, he's eating for 2. Okay, how much longer does Clement have on his advanced werebees? 18 hours? Well, I'm not sure if the first pregnancy will count, but I wanted to try because Clement has to be a werewolf by the time the baby is born. And of course we are transforming. So yeah, let me go here, and he is so glitched. Yeah, never mind the glitched werewolf. All right, so I locked Ian in the bathroom over here, and then we're just waiting for Clement to transform. Okay, Ian, welcome back to the world of the non-werewolves. All right, well, maybe I can try to absorb emotions. I'm not sure if this will work. Okay, it doesn't make him use his fairy form. All right, so that's a solution. Okay, now we have to lock Clement in the bathroom because he is now a werewolf. So this should work. Okay, Clement Frost is now a werewolf and he has an ailment. All right, that is a problem. So we need to cure these ailments. I don't have anything to cure them with. As soon as your sim goes into labor, save the game, then have your babies. We have Ancient Bloodline, High Fae Lineage, Dormant Wolf, Father Winter's Baby, Grim Descendant, Sulani Mana, and that's not what I want. I want a Greater Wolfblood. The other one did not have any of the werewolf traits, so we just restart the game without saving. Okay, the reason why I did it that way is because I want to see if it's different if you reset the game. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Okay, I got a boy and a girl twin this time. So I'm wondering if that is set. It's just that hopefully the traits are not set. I think the loot action happens when they're born. And I was right. That is what happens. So you only have to reset the game. You do not have to wait through every single pregnancy. And here we have a, well, unfortunately cautious infant, but that's okay. A grim descendant, Father Winter's baby, greater wolfblood, Sulani mana, high Fae lineage, and ancient bloodline, all on the same sim. Now, unfortunately, she is a fairy and not a spellcaster. Since she has greater wolfblood, she has to be a werewolf. I bet when I age her up, she will be a hybrid as well. Okay, this is what I wanted, basically. This is our family tree. We have a werewolf ancestor, Sulani mana island elemental, and an island child werewolf. The island child werewolf and the Sulani mana had a child who was a Sulani caster dormant wolf. And the other werewolf had a science baby that was a dormant wolf, and we turned this sim into a fairy. We had to turn this sim into a caster. And then they had a science baby who was basically all of the occults. She was even a vampire somehow. And then we have the Grim Reaper, who had a science baby with her. And then this wolf was not actually a dormant wolf. Ignore the name. I couldn't change it in Kaz. But basically, Ian was all three occults as well. And he had a science baby with Father Winter. And then we have Diane, who is probably a fairy and a werewolf, but not a spellcaster. But she has greater wolf blood. So I wonder, how do we turn a fairy into a non-fairy? Okay, here's what I suggest doing at this point is to age your super sim up to teenager. Okay, and yes, she is both a fairy and a werewolf, so that is a problem. Okay, I have aged her up to an adult. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask one of my other fairy friends over here, one of my parents, basically, can I have a tree? No? Okay, well, let's just purchase one from the computer. Okay, I can't ask how to become a fairy, and I can't ask for... I can't do anything. I need a seedling. How do you get a fairy seedling if you are already a fairy? Okay, it seems like I can't ask anybody about being a fairy, and I can't get the seedling. So what I'm going to do is look under hashtag werewolf cure on the gallery, and maybe this will help. Okay, this just puts the ingredients here because, yeah, you cannot get the cure from the gallery. All right, well, she's going to have to make her own cure. There's literally no way to fix this other than doing it the way that I'm doing it right now. Because you cannot have this sim in your game for very long. There is just going to be, at some point, something bad that happens. So she's going to have to read this until she finds the cure. Okay, she got the Lunar Epiphany unlocked. So now she can read the thing that makes the cure. She just has to keep reading this book over and over again. Okay, it seems I can ask Titania for a fairy seedling. So maybe she just has to be not in my household. Okay, I finally have a seedling. And I can't plant it. Okay, do I need a planter box? No, she just can't plant it. Okay, finally she can make this wolf be gone. And stop chatting with Clement. Clement, go do something else. Okay, so she drinks the wolf be gone, and she removes her werewolfness, and she is only a fairy. Then I can remove her fairiness, hopefully. Okay, yes, now I can plant the seedling. Okay, Mother Nature, how do we... Yeah, ask to remove fairy essence. I don't want to be a fairy anymore. Oh, and she just does it? Okay, I don't have to go... No, that's not what I meant. You must find Moondrop Springs in Everdew and give your essence back to its waters to complete your transformation. Great! Okay, so yeah, basically I still have to go to the stupid lake. Okay, click on the lake and relinquish fairy essence. And she pours it back in. And that's an interesting transformation. But she goes back to being a regular human sim with regular needs. Okay, hopefully you can still become a fairy again. But anyway, so she has non-occult status now. So she still has Sulani mana, ancient bloodline, high Fae lineage, Father Winter's baby, greater wolfblood, and grim descendant. So now if we save her out in Kaz, I suggest transferring sims first and just have the one sim that's the super sim in one household by themselves. And then you can edit this household to be your super sim. Okay, let's give her a better name. So I'm going to call her Pandora Eternal. But you can call her whatever you like. You could even change her traits later on, and I will show you how you can do that. Okay, first you save her out to the gallery, and you can save it to your library or upload it to the gallery. I think it's better to just save the sim to your library. Now that save is actually corrupted with a bunch of mixed occults. So what I suggest doing is creating a new game and then having a caregiver for your super sim. Now I'm just going to pick random stuff, but you can do this more logically. And then open your library, take your super sim and merge her with the household. And then since this is a new sim, you can age her back down to infant, pick a trait, and then set her relationship with the household member as this is her mother. Now, actually, what you might want to do is just leave them as household members and not have her be the mother at all, because that will allow you to get the adopted milestone. But basically, this is the sim that is aged down, and you can use her for the Super Sim Challenge. You can start over and get all the milestones, all the achievements. You can change the different skin tones. You can change this to a male if you prefer a male, and you can change her back to a female. So basically, it doesn't matter what gender you get in the end, you can still switch them. And you can customize everything, change the pronouns, and then when they age up to a teen, you can customize the different gender characteristics for teens. So I suggest doing this in order to start with a clean save file that doesn't have all of the other mixed occults in it. So there you have it. That's how I created the new Pandora. Now, I will not be starting over my Super Sim. I'm actually just going to cheat to remove the half-alien status from the current Pandora and add the high Fae lineage trait. Now, I'm not sure how long this sim will be available to be created. EA may patch things. So if EA has patched things, you can grab the sim off of the gallery under my username charity codes. Special thanks to I Am a Cobra for figuring this out initially, and I will link their channel down below with the video that person did. So this is Charity. Thanks for watching.